Yeah, Spock hasn't changed.
There's a lot of giggling for Spock there, Malissa. Do you want to tell us? Is there something you want to tell us? Star Trek the Animated Series, was Jimmy Doohan's voiceover real?
Star Trek the Animated Series was the continuation of the 5-year mission that the original series set out.
Malissa, what about you?
Star Trek animated series was a foray into even more unknown territory.
Ah.
Poignant.
Star Trek the Animated Series was an emotionless neck pinch.
Wow. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we watch the first episode only of a series, and then we talk about it. Sometimes the podcast itself is longer than this 22-minute episode, like in this case.
No, it was 30. It was 30 minutes.
I guess. With us, as always, is Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, comedian and actor and writer and whatever. Also with us, very special guest, Malissa Longo, the Magic Lady artist and actress. Hi. Roz Stanley is also with us, actress, comedian.
Hi, my hands are funky. Okay.
Nice.
Were you doing magic?
I was.
You made a dog bark. So today we are reviewing, as you may have guessed, Star Trek the Animated Series, which is from like the 70s. Do you remember exactly what year it is, Michael?
I think it was 1973, if I am correct, and I am.
Yes.
And what's it about, by the way?
So, the animated adventures of Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, and the crew of the Starship Enterprise. In this episode, the Enterprise finds a deserted starship orbiting a dead star. That's it.
Oh, I thought there was more.
No, it was a very short synopses that they give. I mean, the greater synopses is space, the final frontier, etc., 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 etc.
Ellipses.
So the way we like to start this podcast, we're going to edit out all of our bad jokes. So it's really going to be like a 7-minute podcast in total. We like to talk about what we expected and what we got. So before we watch this episode, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, what did you expect out of it?
I had seen this episode before, and I remember liking the anime. I've actually seen the entire animated series before, once only, and I remembered liking it. But I did remember that it was a bit dated, and so that was what I was expecting is dated Star Trek animation.
Just playing with the light here. What about you, Malissa? What did you expect before you watched it?
To be honest, I wasn't expecting a whole lot. I watched the animated series before, and I was actually pleasantly surprised at it was better than I thought it would be.
What about you, Roz Stanley?
I was expecting a bit more from the animated series. I've never seen it before. I honestly didn't know it was the thing. I thought all Star Trek. Ooh, that's another series. Star Trek was its own like live action. I thought that's all it was, but it was animated. I wanted some more from it.
It was so good you wanted more.
No. I just before I watched it I wanted more, and I guess I feel like for Star Trek I have to get in a certain mind frame. That's what I feel like. I have to get into that sci-fi genre mind frame and realize, oh, this is a genre and I need to approach it as such. kind of thing.
You know, it's kind of funny. Actually, your background is that Lieutenant Kyle that I remember when I saw that, I made a note of it. I said, oh, Lieutenant Kyle, he's a guy, probably voiced by Jimmy Doohan. Kind of looks funny back there, almost like he's like, I don't know. Looks better when you pull away and you can see that he's at a console.
I did confirm he is voiced by James Doohan.
Okay, it seemed that way. But when you don't see the console, he just looks funny, like right behind you.
Right. Well, yes. But I like his mustache. That was one of my favorite things about the pilot was his mustache, because in the cartoon, in the episode, it wiggles. Like it does little things. And I was like, that's a different kind of mustache. It really stood out to me.
It's
got a mind of its own, yeah.
So
what did you expect, Ryan?
I'll tell you what I expected. I expected something about the theme song, which we'll cover a little later.
Mm-hmm.
I expected to enjoy it because I actually watched it for the very first time all the way through the whole series. I'd never seen any of it. I watched it all the way through for the first time like a year ago only. And so I remembered enjoying it. I didn't really pay a ton of attention to it. I would kind of have it on while I was doing other things. I expected to enjoy it. And newsflash, that's what we expected. What did we get? Well, I'll tell you what I got. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it because they were able to bring things to this series that they couldn't do with live action stuff. Mm-hmm. You can make any old alien. You can do any old explosions, even though the explosions were terrible still. You can do any old ship, anything you want that obviously you don't have the means or the budget to do in live action, especially in the 70s. So I got something that I actually enjoyed. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I guess one of the things that I remember really liking about the animated series is that, I don't know if you've ever seen any episodes of the original series, especially if looking at it with a modern eye, it's very slow. And so this, for the animated series, what I liked about it is you pretty much got an original series episode in 30 minutes. So it was a lot quicker, and because it was a shorter amount of time, they had to move it a little bit quicker. I mean, obviously, looking at this with a modern eye, it still was a little bit slow. There were some slow parts to it. But definitely compared to the original series, it really moved a lot quicker than the original series, and that's I think one of the things that I really liked about the animated series in general. But yeah, also like what you're saying is there's things that they couldn't do. Like there was that one alien navigator that they had on the bridge. I forget Eric's. And then they also had a replacement for Uhura sometimes. Like, you know, Uhura could actually take a break, and they had a Cation communications officer, which is like Maress, like a cat lady, and like her tail would flip around, and like you couldn't do that with in a live action series back in the 60s and 70s.
Right. What about you, Malissa? What did you get?
Yeah, I was really surprised at how well the storytelling was, and yes, they could do more things that they couldn't do with the live action, like the starship that they found, and which was great, and it kind of reminded me of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, me too. I thought the same thing. Yes. Okay, yeah, I did. I really did.
Scooby-Doo. I always liked Scooby-Doo when I was a kid.
So basically what you're saying is they copied Scooby-Doo and they would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids, right?
No. I don't think they copied Scooby-Doo, but it had that kind of feel.
That was Ryan's attempt at a joke, by the way, for everybody who's watching at home.
Michael, don't call me out. If they missed the joke, it's better that way. Just let it die. Let it die. You know, because they'd always be like, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Yeah, well, I get the joke.
I was explaining it. I didn't even like Scooby-Doo anyway. That's all I got.
Yes, and it was a joke, and it was well told.
That's my other one. Oh, that's it. Those are the 2 jokes I ever say. What about you, Roz? What did you get out of this?
I crazy that you said that, Melissa, because I definitely thought when I was watching it, Scooby-Doo all the way, because it's the way the characters look. It's the way they look, I thought, for me, but also some of the tone. But I thought it was a super simple story with conflict. And I think that's the genius behind it, because I was like, oh, they're not making it overly complex, which I think for someone who comes into Star Trek incredibly new to it, it's like, it's just too complex. It's too many worlds to put together. Vulcan, all human, da-da-da-da-da. And it wasn't. It was just very simple with conflict. And I really appreciated that about it.
Yeah, because it's cartoon for kids. That's you're right. That's something that you can kind of tell. And to Mike's point, that was something that I noticed the first time around when I watched it, was that, whoa, how are they going to tell Star Trek stories in 22 minutes? Or 24 or 30 or whatever, but
it's 30.
I think it's 20. I think it was 24 in total.
The first one was 24, yeah.
Yeah. But they were able to do it. I mean, it worked okay, but you're at like the 17 or 18 minute mark and they haven't come to a solution. You're like, are they even gonna, but they figured, I don't even know how they really figured out. They're just kind of like, oh, let's just drive away.
Well, I think that the writing is really good, and it's kind of like harkens back to the original series too, where they've got like really good writers like Harlan Ellison writing episodes of the shows, and so they really kind of, and it was one of those things too where they kind of like let a single writer write the show and do his thing and have their vision, and it was like that kind of classic science fiction's tales. Like this particular one, they Captain Kirk says it, a civilization that advanced 300 million years ago before life even emerged on Earth. But then also Bones says, barely an instant in eternity. And that line just kind of stuck with me. Like, man, that's such a beautiful line that Bones comes up with. Then also, how does Kirk know that too? Like,
yeah, I wondered that too. I was like, wait, did it say that somewhere? How did was it a good guess?
Yeah, he has some prescience, he has some kind of way of knowing things. So.
Yeah.
Omniscience.
So
yeah, omniscience, impressions.
Speaking of the animation, I did want to talk about the animation. What did you guys think? Okay, see, it reminded you of Scooby-Doo, but that's just because it's old school, kind of. But I mean, the animation. I mean, for me, I like the art a lot. I liked the art. I thought the artwork was cool. I really enjoyed it. I did not like the animation because the animation was so cheap. But I try to watch it through the lens of 47 years ago, so it passes. But I don't know. What did you guys think of the art and or animation?
Speaking of the artwork, I mean, this cool alien spaceship. I mean, that's just, first of all, the whole concept of it is cool. These, bless you, these kind of insect aliens that kind of spun the metal from as like a web, and it's all kind of like laid out like a beehive. I mean, that's kind of a cool old school science fiction trope too. But then just the layout and then the art of the spaceship is really beautiful. Yeah.
Good colors.
It kind of looks like the cousin to coronavirus, if we're looking at scientific terms. I thought, if you look at it, it's like, oh, that's a little bit familiar today. But I just say.
Roz Stanley, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So always bringing up coronavirus. She's like, got to be topical.
No, it does. See, even better. There you go.
Yeah. Well, except coronavirus has red spikes on the outside, so.
That is true. That's true. Yeah.
But
that looks like this, like it's like storybook art. Like it reminded me of reading Rainbow, because it's like, I think a few times in that pilot, it's a picture. Like it's solely a picture. There's no animation about it, and it's beautiful. It looks like I'm looking at a very well illustrated book.
Yeah, it seems like instead of putting their time into actually animating things, they put in their time into creating these beautiful images.
Good coloring. Speaking of which, look at Melissa's here. We see our first communicator. I noticed that was the first time they opened up the communicator.
Yeah.
Kirk's just sneaking over your shoulder. He's watching you. He's watching you.
Watching me.
What do you think of the animation, Melissa?
I didn't mind that it was simple Well, I did like the artwork, and it like this starship in my background and Michael's background, it was beautiful. Like Uhura said, it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me of another story, Charlotte's Web, and like little spider egg sacs. And that's what I thought was going to happen, which didn't. But yeah, it reminded me of little eggs from spider webs. And yeah, it's nice to see art that inspires or provokes images in your head of what it might be.
Yeah,
so I enjoyed it.
Shout out to Templeton, am I right? Templeton of Charlotte's Web. That was a nice nice callback. I haven't seen that since I was a kid. That was a great one. Here's something I wanted to talk about, and we almost accidentally talked about it in a previous podcast, our Enterprise podcast. I was eyeing it very strongly. I was like, don't ruin my animated series question. And that question is, here's the setup. When I first heard that animated theme song, I kind of didn't really think about it too much. I said, oh, it's weird 70s filth, right? And then I remember like the second or third time when I heard it, I think I was brushing my teeth and I was just like, yeah, this song is so snazzy. I was like, I started like, I'm like brushing my, I started dancing and it's so good. And so I was actually looking forward to that when I was watching it this time. I was like, ooh, I get to listen to the cool, snazzy theme song, which leads me to the question, which is, what are and Roz, you may not have seen all of the Star Treks, but definitely for Michael and Malissa especially, what are your top 3 Star Trek theme songs? Because I think this one falls in that top 3 for me. I think it's Deep Space Nine is number 1. I think Faith of the Shart is number 2.
What?
I know everybody's saying, really? How can you like that one?
What? Yeah,
I don't know what
that's
that is.
That's not even a song. So that must be a song that Ryan made up for himself. No. That he likes to sing in the bathtub.
Did I say? I meant Faith of the Shart. Anyway, that's the one for Enterprise. Killing me.
Ending with a T, not a K.
Let me explain. While Ryan's laughing, let me explain to you what Ryan likes to do. Ryan likes to take words and then change them slightly to confuse people, and then he finds that hilarious.
I
think it's kind of funny. I think it's kind of funny too. But the song that he's talking about is actually called "Faith of the Heart."
That makes more sense.
Okay.
So every time I'm singing along with it, I'm getting the lyrics wrong.
Yeah, when you're making up that song in your bathtub, playing with the bubbles that are coming up from your farts.
It's more than bubbles. Wow.
We got way off track. My apologies. I meant Faith of the Shart. So anyway, the point is that this might be number 3, this one or possibly Next Generation. What are your top 3 songs of? Actually, I really like Discovery too. Discovery might be number 3. I really like that one.
Make up your mind more.
I can't.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's hard. I mean, how do you really compare them? Especially because so many of them are like instrumental, orchestral scores that are really. I mean, really, it's hard to, because they're orchestral scores. It's hard to separate them from the show, I think, really, except for Faith of the Shart, as Ryan puts it. Faith of the Heart, which is my favorite Star Trek theme song. But this one is interesting, and one thing that I found interesting about it is like they had the same opening, space, the final frontier, etc., 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 etc. But then I thought at first, because I really didn't remember the theme song from when I watched the show like 5 years ago or whatever it was. But I had first thought that it was going to be just the original series theme song. But actually, what it is it's slightly different from the original series theme song. I don't know if there was some legal issues where they couldn't use the original theme song, so they had to change it slightly, or they were just trying to have a little bit of a different theme song just for this particular series. But I thought that was interesting. But I do think it is a little bit of a jazzier version than the original series theme song.
What was your top 3 then?
So Enterprise, Deep Space Nine, and Next Generation, probably, just because those are my 3 favorite shows. And
all right,
not. Those are my favorite themes, I guess.
Got it.
That's what I'm trying to say.
What about you, Malissa? Your 3 favorite theme songs in Star Trek?
Well, I would say Deep Space Nine is probably my favorite.
Me too.
And Discovery. I really like Discovery's theme song.
Good.
And I think I'm going to go with TNG. I like the animated theme song. It was really groovy, like Ryan said. It was groovy. It was fun and peppy and upbeat. But yeah, TNG is probably a little bit higher for me on the likability.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to change my answer again. I do remember what my number 3 is. This is going to have to probably be number 4 or tied for number 3. It's Picard, actually.
Picard. I was going to say, yeah, I thought you liked Picard a lot.
I did, and I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, no, that's probably it. Malissa, can you do this for us and pretend like you're holding the tricorder?
Other hand. Yeah, there you go.
Wait, hang on. I like
Right.
Oh, there you go. You got it. Nailed it.
Perfect. Roz, just a general question to you. What did you think about the theme? Now you're thinking, God, I should have paid better attention to that damn theme song. We're talking about it for 10
I should have watched more Star Treks before today. I think well, the one thing I do notice, I don't remember all the theme songs, even though I did watch Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. If I'm getting it. No, I did not watch Enterprise. It was Next Generation. It was Next Generation. Sorry, guys. I did watch those as a kid, so that's been a long time. But the one thing that did stand out to me, and I'm not sure if I'm remembering it correctly, but they all had the whole like dun 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 dun, right?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
Okay. So that situation. But the thing is, though, it's when I think of space, I only think of instrumental. I don't think of anything else to think about space with, So I just thought that was interesting how that influenced me to think that about space. It was just something that did pop into my head about that. And I mean, even with other like space type, if you will, movies, they do the same kind of thing. The instrumental stuff happens as opposed to other types of music.
You should watch Enterprise. It'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
Wait, am I like misspeaking now? Like, is Enterprise, do they have like hip hop in that or something?
Oh, you should have faith. You should have faith.
Of the heart.
Faith in my chart? Okay, gotcha.
Faith in your chart. You're so naughty, Roz. Why would you even use a word
That's
like
not naughty. It's a human action.
Shouldn't be. Another question. What, Malissa? What are we...
Poo humor.
Poo.
Is this what this podcast has come to?
A podcast? No. We're yeah.
I got it.
Just a quick segue, by the way. Speaking of animation, we've got a new animated series coming out August 6th. It has been announced. It will be out August 6th. Any of you guys excited about the new animated series called Lower Decks?
Lower Decks.
Because I sure am.
Yeah.
I'm more excited than I think I should be. I'm really gung-ho for it.
Is that the Rick
What
and
is
Morty
that?
guys that did that?
Right.
show?
Yeah, Mike McMahon, yeah.
It's
a whole new series?
It's a new animated Star Trek series about, I think it's like Next Generation era, right? Like.
Right, and it's like the Lower Decks. It's like ensigns, and the art
Right.
is probably might be better. The animation's better than this. Well, I'm excited for it. And
I'm
for the
excited.
theme
Yeah.
song
I'll be watching that.
on
My
CBS
wife
All
doesn't
Access.
want to, but But I don't watch TV with her all, especially right now because I'm still on disability from work because of my car accident. So
Sorry.
but I won't be in August. Dang it.
I like that we had. God, that picture cracks me up with the tribbles on his mustache.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
but I like that. We had Lieutenant Eric's, who was introduced, even though I don't think he had any lines.
No.
We had Nurse Chapel, who popped in.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she's there with Bones. We had Lieutenant Kyle that cracked me up. I was like, who's this guy that sounds just like Scotty? I don't know.
Scotty.
Did you guys have any favorite characters in the animated series, whether they're just favorite characters that you like from the original series? Roz,
Mr. Kyle.
Yeah, tell us why.
And don't they call him Mr. Kyle? Like, is it Kyle or Mr. Kyle?
Well, his last name is probably Kyle.
Okay.
So they probably because he calls him Mr. Scott. Like Scotty is Mr. Scott.
Gotcha. I see. Yeah, no, I really appreciated Mr. Kyle because I don't know, when his scene just started, he was like, he just stood out to me and just had like a presence and just like he knew his purpose. He knew his purpose. He knew why he was there, and he did it. But that brings me to something I wanted to bring up. There was a spot closer towards the end where someone is stuck in a sector and they have to like get him out of it.
Yeah.
I noticed sometimes they started some of those situations, and I don't know if it was an animation thing, but they started those situations like with them already stuck or them already in a bind, and they didn't show them getting into the bind. Like, I don't know how he got sucked into that or stuck.
Right.
It just started there. So I didn't know what that was about, though, because some of the scenes, they just started with the conflict, if you will, and we didn't see how it became.
That's saving money on animation. I noticed that too, is that it takes more work to like create the conflict and do all this rather than just showing him, oh, I'm stuck now. Like now they've already done there's no hard part to be done. They're just like, oh, now I'm on the ground, but we don't have to actually animate him falling to the ground.
Well, speaking about saving money on animation, I noticed there was one cutaway for like 1 second on the bridge where in one second you've got Lieutenant Eric's, and then it cuts away, and then you've got Chekhov, and then it cuts back, and you've got Eric's again.
No way, really?
Yeah.
But Chekhov's not in the series.
Well, exactly. Or maybe it was not Chekhov, but it was some black-haired Caucasian male
I didn't notice
sitting next to Sulu instead of Eric's. And there's those kind of continuity errors all the time in the original series. I mean, you'll see one shot where Kirk is wearing his yellow shirt, and then in the same scene, it'll be a shot of him in his green shirt, and then they'll cut back and he'll be in his yellow shirt again.
You know, that's funny because I was actually looking for that specifically in a scene when there were the four of them walking on the away mission. And I remember thinking like, because in all animated series back in the day, they would get like the wrong shirt color sometimes, and you'd be like, wait a minute, why is He-Man wearing red instead of purple or whatever? And I looked for it, but I didn't see it. So that's cool that you found one.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite characters, Malissa?
Spock. Spock. No, yeah, Spock. Hasn't changed.
There's a lot of giggling for Spock there, Malissa. Do you want to tell us? Is there something you want to tell us?
No. Like this salad type.
Yeah, and he could also take he and Kirk.
I always have
Yeah. He and Kirk could handle a death ray in the back for like 5 minutes at a time without dying or passing out. That was a pretty weak bridge laser.
Well, we don't know that it was a death ray, but
I mean, he had a laser on his back forever, and they're just like, it's like a sunburn. I hate it.
Baby. Oh, baby. Or else I'll give you for sunburn. Green burn. It's a green burn.
Could be.
green burn.
Because they have green blood. Vulcans have green blood. Good
green
knowledge.
ray.
Oh,
Isn't it?
sorry.
Oh, the mist stuff or the laser beam? Whatever.
Laser.
Beam. One other thing I wanted to really quickly mention is to save money on animation, they gave them life support belts. Like actually in the original series and in the next generation, they put on full spacesuits.
Right.
When they had to go out into when there's no atmosphere. But I guess somehow in the animated series, they can just throw on a belt and they have a yellow force field around them and they can breathe okay.
Yeah. Because then they have less to draw. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, Roz, your favorite guy, Kyle, he actually, if he were a Bajoran, his last name would be Paka. Kyle Paka.
Oh,
Kyle
God.
Paka.
Kyle Paka.
That makes no sense to her, Ryan. I don't know why you're even saying that as a joke to Roz.
Kyle Paka. It's
all right, I'll
Deep Space
explain.
Nine joke.
So, in Deep Space
It doesn't deserve a.
All right, yeah, you're right. It doesn't deserve an explanation. It was just such a terrible joke.
But I did want to piggyback on the Spock thing. Cartoon Spock, super hot. But real life Spock, not as much. Like I just like the cartoon, I was like, he's attractive. But like for the live action, I was like, not so much.
They did make them all pretty cut. If you look at just like right behind me, they've all got like the pectoral outlines.
Yeah, shoulders, all that stuff, Just,
Butts, probably. We're talking about poo this episode, so why not talk about butts?
Yeah, they're all pretty ripped. I noticed that especially with Scotty. He was not just ripped, but he was also like burly. They made him like burly man. Anyway, in the comments below,
look at Kyle's arms. Look at Kyle's arms in Roz's background.
Yes, very much so.
Sorry,
guys. No, I was just gonna say, look in the comments below, guys. Let us know, scale of 1 to 10, how good that Kyle Pocket joke was. Because I think this is a tough crowd, but I feel like it was a 7.
0 to 10. You can choose 0.
0 is an option.
Yeah.
I thought I liked it.
Also, just leave us a comment. Tell us who your favorite character was. Tell us how the animation was. Mm-hmm. Tell us if you've ever had faith of the shark.
Whoops. Guess we'll edit that part out. Mike, that's so gross.
I'm not going to edit anything out, Ryan. Come on, you know me.
Roz, are you able to make a Star Trek animated series joke or pun?
I think I did when I said what Star Trek animated series was. It was an emotionless neck pinch.
Yeah, you're right.
Did I get that?
You're right.
Did you not get
set
that,
the standard for
Mr. Star Trek?
That wasn't a pun, but it was a good joke, though. It was solid.
Yeah, I guess you missed it, Ryan. I don't know where you've been, but yeah.
No, I got it. I liked it.
Just kidding with you. I'm kidding with you. I'm kidding.
I clicked the love react.
Hey, the heart.
Yeah.
The smiley with the heart.
Oh, that's the care. Yeah, it's the care react.
Definitely. But I also noticed in Star Trek, the liquids move fast. Like when they spilled stuff or something like that, the liquids go super fast, like almost supernaturally fast.
Whoa.
That's a thing.
I didn't notice that. Anybody else?
No, but probably another animation saving device, if I had to guess. They're just like, let's animate as little as possible. Let's have these guys like just little like paper dolls that we can just kind of like move like this.
It's like South Park.
Love paper dolls. I had so many of them. Love them.
Did you think it was sad, by the way, when it said, please don't leave me at the end? Please. I'm so... Were you like laughing and be like, oh my God, what a loser alien? Or were you like, oh, go help him?
I mean, they're obviously not going to go help him because he took over their ship and like tried to like hijack them. But it was a little bit sad. I mean, yeah, he's a lonely being. Like I would think if it was Next Generation, they would have found some way to help it still, but not let it take over their ship.
Do you think Kirk was like, we would totally save you, but this is a half-hour episode.
Half-hour episode.
We can't go back. Sorry. What about you,
Not
Malissa?
in the budget.
Malissa,
I felt sad for it. It was like, I'm so lonely. And I'm like, they're just gonna sit there. Oh, poor thing.
Selfish.
So
Roz,
selfish.
go back and save it, or sorry, buddy.
It's like that freaky high school friend that like wants friends and talks about it. Like they don't make the effort to make a friend. They just like, could you be my friend? And they don't even say hello, how are you? But he kept saying like, please, it was drawn out like, please, please, after he had just said, obey me the way he said it before.
Obey me.
Right.
Yeah.
He kept saying obey me like a dozen times, and then when they leave, he's like, oh, but
Please be my friend, please.
Yeah.
I guess that's what 300 million might do to a being.
All right. Makes you desperate and mean, but then pathetic.
You probably didn't have a volleyball to talk to, so
Castaway joke. Solid.
That was a solid one, yeah.
Yes.
Very good. So, Roz Stanley.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you for a moment, shall we? Roz Stanley.
Let's.
So you are an actress and comedian. You like big mustaches that jiggle when people talk.
Red, please. Yes.
What are you currently working on, by the way? You sent us a couple pretty cool projects. One that is very, very quarantine related.
Yeah, Attorneys at Flaw is a Skype com that is a new genre coming out as opposed to like a rom-com, all that kind of stuff. It's all taped via the platform of Skype, not Zoom. And so it's just the director just did your own session with you via Skype. And it's about two attorneys, one of them who actually does the work and one who doesn't. Therefore, they're in a constant circle of who's actually getting work done and who's actually got people pursuing him because he's not actually doing the work. So that is Attorneys at Flaw. And then Royal Palace is a short film that we just did. It's a comedy, if you will, about a nursing home. And that is the nursing home's name, Royal Palace. So it's a very short film. They're putting it in the Burbank Film Festival, Sherman Oaks, all of those it just entered. And all of those right now are trying to figure out what kind of platform they're going to use, because the festivals are still continuing, but they might be online.
Cool. What kind of character do you play in Attorneys at Flaw, by the way?
Are you the one that does the work, or are you the one that doesn't do the work?
Oh, boy.
I'm the lawyer's ex-wife. That's who I play. Because look at me. I just scream ex-wife. So
how often do you scream that? Do you scream that a lot?
So like my appearance screams that, not me. But that's like, so I play one of the lawyer's ex-wives who is trying to track down her alimony because he does not pay it on time, if at all. So her name is Leanne. So I play her in that. And then in Royal Palace, I play one of the nurses.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of stand-up comedy in the past. I was wondering, did you ever have like a joke that just totally killed one night and bombed the next night? And what joke was it? Was there like one that you could just never decide? Is it good or is it not?
Well, I don't know. I don't really remember much of them because I did stand-up comedy only actually a couple of times. I really do more improv. But it's okay if you don't know that about me. But I try to interweave my personal life into it. And I don't know, I had like a few good ones I thought about strip clubs, but I forget them because they didn't work very well. So I'm trying to find some more wholesome comedy about strip clubs.
Melissa's not convinced. She was like, well, I don't buy this.
No, I'm just working on it day and night. So, yeah.
Are you doing auditions via Zoom or Skype?
Yes, lots of self-tapes. I've done lots of self-tapes via Actors Access, all those different platforms. And then a lot of, I think back in March, April, a lot of different casting directors had open calls. So they had like a whole list of scenes to choose from, and you had to get those in by a certain deadline. But a lot of self-tapes, and a lot of those are just, a lot of those are picking up. A lot of filming is picking up too. It's different to film now, but it's still good.
Are you still doing any improv? Is there any improv going on virtually right now?
Ooh.
There, some improv teams are. I'm not on one currently that's doing any of them, but some of them started the quarantine by doing Zoom, like some type of improv that way. And there's still improv classes going on via virtually, but I'm not involved in any of those currently, but they are happening.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be difficult to really get a read from a scene partner virtually. I mean,
especially more than 2 people. Like if they're trying to do like a scene or something like that and that sort of thing. I don't know entirely how it's working.
Right. There's virtual open mics for stand-up comedy right now, and I haven't done any of those because it's like I'm not not interested in telling jokes to a screen of people who are not going to be laughing at me. I mean, the same things at an open mic anyway, but at least they're there.
Thanks for being open, Mike.
You can sometimes get an involuntary chuckle. So
thank you.
Yeah, that's Ryan's the king of bad puns. That's his style of stand-up.
You accidentally
comedy.
said bad in there.
Did I?
Wow.
Oh, oops.
So, Roz, final question from me, because I know that we've been really sticking it to you in this question air. Tell us about your Star Trek experiences. Like, how many series have you watched? Which one's your favorite?
So I have, as a kid, so this is a long time ago, guys, but I religiously would watch it on Saturday nights because it came on before Dr. Quinn Medicine Women, which I would watch right after. So I watched The Next Generation that has Picard in it. And then I watched Voyager. I forget her name, but it has the female captain.
Janeway.
Yes. And then Deep Space Nine as well. So those are the 3 that I watched. I'm not as familiar with them right now, but as a child, I had the biggest crush on
Will Wheaton. Melissa, do you have a guess?
Geordi.
Later on in life, I developed one on him, but before him, it was Riker, the bearded guy. Yes. So I would watch that one for him, and just to I just loved it. But I was very confused of a few years later because he did the Fact or Fiction TV show, and I was still trying to wrap my mind around what an actor is and that they can do more than one show. So I thought it was hard for me to be like, I was like, wait a second. I was like, wow, Captain Riker's in this mysterious place with blue smoke around him doing stories. And it just took a while. I was very slow about that. I was very, very young and didn't know much.
You just upset a lot of people.
I'm so sorry. I know. I probably have this
Captain
whole podcast.
Riker. It's Commander.
He did become a captain though.
He did.
But Ryan, he did in canon. Does become a captain.
He does. He also becomes an admiral. He was also a lieutenant. But I can hear them angrily, furiously.
Nobody's angry at Roz. Come on, she's adorable.
Let me say this.
Please.
He was a captain of my heart. So
there you go. See,
a captain of your
shart.
My shart. My God! Can't believe you caved into that.
I reeled it in. Yeah.
Melissa, can you believe that she went for it?
Yes, because I almost went for it.
Nice. Sorry, Mike, you're outnumbered.
I guess so, yeah. Usually, yeah.
Well, that's cool. Thanks for telling us all about you, Roz. I feel like we learned a lot. Definitely a better person for it. And
we'll put all of her social links down in the description below. So click down there, open up the description, look for where it says, hey, here's where you can find out more stuff about Roz. And then click on all of her links, every single one of them, or
Okay.
else.
Stalk me, send me mail, show up at my doorstep. Yeah. Just kidding. I mean, not really. Like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, we're not actually going to put her home address in there.
Just a P.O. box.
Yeah.
Send her chocolates. I just like the accent you were doing, Roz.
I think it was like a Valley Girl-ish type.
Like, yes. Yeah, I stole that word. It's from another show. I forget which one. But yeah. Yes!
Not our show, but a different show that you probably should watch, but not right now.
So, here we are, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. Would you like to tell them what time it is?
I think it's about 2 o'clock, right?
Well, kind of. Mike is laughing because he created this thing called the Terrible Twos, which are the final 2 questions of the show because the show is winding down. And so I've eventually caved and started calling it the Terrible Twos, and now Mike's just trying to deny it. So anyway, this is look how angry.
I'm just reading my other computer screen instead. I'm not paying any attention to anything that you're saying right now.
So anyway, this is the Terrible Twos that Mike likes to call the Terrible Twos.
Ryan came up with, but I didn't. But he likes to say that I did.
Anyway, Roz is like, God, should I leave you guys alone? This is scary.
It's his favorite game. It's his favorite dumb joke game, just to mess with me, just because he knows it pisses me off.
Not really.
Nah.
So anyway,
I
the
could
Terrible
never
Twos,
be mad at you.
Yeah, I've tried. Believe me, you can't. So the final 2 questions are: number 1, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the first episode of the animated series?
Well, I think I'd have to give this a 7.5. It's hard for me to separate this episode from the entire series, even though I just watched this one episode. But it's kind of hard. It doesn't really set up the rest of the series, but the rest of the series is already set up by the original series. So there's not really a lot to set up. There's not really, I mean, I guess there are some, there's Kyle and there's Eric's and there's Maress eventually to introduce. But I mean, the core cast, I mean, Kirk, Spock, and Bones, McCoy, Scotty, and Uhura, we know all of them already just from watching the original series. Most people who watch the animated series are coming to it from the original series. Right. Except for people like Roz, who we tricked into it. So it's not really that kind of pilot. It's not really setting all that kind of stuff up. But what it did do really well is it just told a really good story, and like you mentioned, it had some very striking images that were fun to look at, and it was just a good. It told a good story. And it continued, like I said in the beginning, it continues the 5-year mission. Like the original series only went 3 seasons, and then this went 2 more seasons. So that's kind of like a lot of people say that this animated series is the continuation of that 5-year mission to wrap it up.
Right. Melissa? Ooh.
Nothing.
Melissa, scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this episode?
I would give it a 7. Yeah. For many reasons that Michael already addressed, it is a continuation of the early, and I got that right away. So there, as long as you watched the original series, you weren't lost in any way, and I enjoyed the storytelling. It kept my interest more than other stories. So yeah,
that shall remain nameless until we stop recording. Miss Roz Stanley, scale of 1 to 10, be gentle.
I was already thinking 7. I was thinking 7 because it gives, I feel like those of us who come with not much knowledge for Star Trek, enough to know what's going on, and not too much to be like, well, let me zone out because I don't know what they're talking about. So I felt like that for sure. I feel like there just could have, for me, I just wanted more, and I don't know if it's because of like Spock or what, but like I would have liked more emotion, but I don't know where that lies in the Star Trek situation, but I feel like I wanted to feel more for them, and I didn't. So that's why I would give it a 7.
You mean you weren't like in agony when you were watching them have a laser beam on their back for 45 minutes? You weren't just like, oh my God, is he going to die?
Ryan, the show was only 24 minutes.
It felt like forever. So I would give it like, actually, honestly, I'd give it like a 7.5. It sounds like we're very rounded out. Was that a 7.25 average for the 4 of us? So
you're the math guy. So
yeah, because it was 2 7.5s and 2 7s. But like the animation, they cut the corners so much on the animation. It was just it's hard. It's hard to like that. You know, it feels really cheap. And the story is very simple, you know, which is good in some way, bad in another way. But what I especially liked is that, yeah, they can do things that they can't do normally with live action, because there's only so many times we can watch a Star Trek episode where they have like 2 dots on their forehead and that makes them an alien.
Yeah.
You know, or they have like this prosthetic that just goes here, or, you know, on their earlobe, and they're like, oh, that's a different, or sometimes they don't even have anything. They just have brown sweaters and they're supposed to be some alien race in the Gamma Quadrant. And, you know, like with this, they can just, it costs the same thing to draw a big jellyfish as it does to draw a regular person. So they can be a lot more creative, and I like that. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Don Crandall, who's always talking about the animated series. Don Crandall grew up on this. He loves it. He talks about it. When I first watched it, I thought about him. Not the entire time. Calm down. Just part of the time. And Malissa knows he talks about it a lot, right? He likes it.
Yeah.
Great. So the second question of the Terrible Twos is, for the purposes of this podcast, you watched the first episode of Star Trek, the animated series. Now that the podcast is over, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode on your own?
yeah, yes, I would.
Good.
I liked it. I like Star Trek.
Guilty. What about you, Malissa? Would you watch the second episode?
I would. And I did. So yes, I would.
Melissa always doing extracurricular work for
Yeah.
Watch the First.
I like how she felt guilty about it. She's like, I did. It's okay.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Roz has got that mean sneer on her face. Roz, would you watch the second
And
episode?
don't just be honest. Don't try to pander to Ryan.
So here's what I did. I did watch that second episode because I was like, I hope this is not what the rest of it is like. And the second episode I enjoyed more than the pilot. So because of me saying, hey, let me give this more of a chance, and watching the second episode, I was like, yeah. But if the second episode had been along the same situation as the first one or similar, I would have been like, okay, I'm gonna go watch Star Wars or something. So
Perfect.
So
So
then the
you-
question
I'm kidding.
is,
It's okay.
But that-
We like Star Wars too.
yeah, but then the question is,
I'm just messing.
would you watch the third episode?
I probably won't watch the third episode, but I mean maybe like on a down day or something.
Yeah, maybe. I would watch the second episode. It's very easy and digestible. They're 20-something minutes long. They're simple. It's got a snazzy tune to it. You know, it's easy. You don't really have to pay attention too much. You can if you want, but, you know, they're going to keep it simple. You're going to hear James Doohan's voice playing every single alien like everything. He's all over the place. And I never really understood why. I don't know if he got paid more, if he was just like, hey, I think it would be fun to do all these voices, and let me try it. But
yeah, he did the voice of the Green Mist guy too. So yeah,
I figured.
They all kind of dabbled in more than one voice, though.
Yeah, but a lot less than him. But yeah, they did. They definitely did. I think Nichelle did a few too, for sure. She may have done the second most, possibly. Anyway.
Well, I think it was Majel.
Oh, good point, Majel.
I'm sure she did more than one voice, yeah.
So guys, everybody at home, we watched the first episode, so you don't have to. And if you, but you can anyway. If you want us to review something, just tell us WTF and the show. Say WTF, The Real Ghostbusters, or WTF, Battlestar Galactica, and that stands for Watch the First Battlestar Galactica. Just tell us that in the comments below. Tell us if this is your favorite theme song ever, or what are your 3 favorite theme songs in the comments below of all the Star Trek. What's your favorite? Is anybody going to say Voyager?
Yeah,
find out.
I'm sure people will.
I want to know what
there's some diehard Voyager favorite fans out there, and I'm sure like if it's tied to the series, as my theory goes, that they're going to choose Voyager.
Yeah, those are your series theories.
Series. Go ahead and leave us a like, thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell notification, punch it right in the face.
Teach it a lesson. Yeah, that's right. But hit the bell notification. That's really important, so you get notified.
Bell icon for notifications is what it is.
Whatever.
Yeah, so what I misspoke.
And go stalk Roz and leave Malissa alone. She doesn't want to be stalked. Just go to her website, which is called
Walking Art by Malissa.
Right. WalkingArtByMalissa.com. It's got all this really cool art that's functional and fun and interesting. Lots of cool stuff with Aaron Eisenberg's signatures and things like that. Really good stuff. Walking Art by Malissa will also include that below. And that's
open up that description. Check out all the stuff.
Thanks very much for joining us. This is Falling Towers Watch the First, and enjoy the rest of your day, night, or week. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.